There are a lot of mods coming to Path of Titans, whether that's in the distant future or in the near future. So here are my top 10 picks of upcoming mods that you should be excited for. Let me know what your top 10 is in the comments down below, but without further ado, let's get right into it. We're starting this list with a large spinosaur that comes from the Iberian Peninsula. This is of course Iberospinus by the Wrath of the Goliaths team. This is not the only Spinosaurid coming from this group, because it's coming alongside Spinosaurus, Suchomimus, and Ichthyovenator. Iberospinus is technically one out of those four that is the least known out of the bunch, because Ichthyovenator already has a lot of coverage from me and other people and has been showcased a lot, whereas Iberospinus was only recently teased and only recently got its full model texturing showcase, and it looks pretty good. It's probably not going to be a 4-slot, maybe a 3-slot carnivore at that, sitting alongside maybe that of Daspletosaurus and Allosaurus. But we also know what the default skin looks like, because 2 days ago the mod developer teased it alongside the Suchomimus default skin for that mod as well. Regardless, we've spoke about the Ichthyovenator and the Spinosaurus a lot on this channel, and while we don't know much about the Iberospinus itself, it definitely deserves a mention in this list and deserves a lot more coverage. A great and relatively lesser known Spinosaur coming to the game, and with a team like the Wrath of Goliaths team behind it, you know it's going to be a good one. The giant spider of Path of Titans, Giga Arachne, comes in as the next mod on the list. Being spearheaded by Rogue Terror and the Exargilla team, this is one mod you need to keep your eyes peeled for. When I covered this in my last top 10 video earlier this year, it was looking to be a giant jumping spider of a mod, but now that has changed. A recent showcase of the model in February showcased that it's not going to be a jumping spider anymore, but it's going to be a giant tarantula once again, with Rogue Terror throwing up these monstrous concepts or teasers showing the full model in all of its glory. This will be bigger than its predecessor mod, the Magna Ant, coming in at a similar length to the base game's Eotriceratops, and if you know what that is, that's probably one of the tankiest herbivores in the game, and certainly one of the biggest herbivores in the game. This is going to be a big spider, and it's going to tower over small raptors and provide a new level of fear for those who are playing. While we don't know what the gameplay aspects are for this mod at the moment, we can take a good look at the Magna Ant, which is a mod that overpowers its opponents through teamwork. I feel like the spider might be more of a solo creature compared to it, mainly due to the size and the power that it will probably hold. That being said, it's definitely one to look forward to or be fearful of. Now we're going to turn it back a little bit, because we just had two carnivores, a Spinosaur and a giant spider. However, this time we're going back to a mod that looks to have finally been ported into the game for further development, and arguably, to me, this is one of the sleeper builds that you should be excited for. This is Desmartosuchus, being developed by Flow. Probably the most known Aetosaur. It's a Triassic lineage of archosaurs that were basically armored pigs with big snouts. As I've said, it's being made by Flow, and we have this beautiful screenshot of it in game, and we also get to see a bunch of animations for it as well. A nice change in pace for what we had before, but it's a welcomed one. However, we're going to go back to the quick pace once again, because we're going to talk about an upcoming pterosaur that's been hotly anticipated for a good while now. The Absentia team have a handful of mods in development. They're Argophalmus, Coryphosaurus, the Noxovenator, and this, their premier flying reptile, the Geosternbergia. This has been in and around development for a similar time to their Acrocanthosaurus. However, things are starting to steadily progress. This to me is one of the most beautiful pterosaur mods in the works at the moment, and we know what the Absentia community can do since they've shown it all on the Acrocanthosaurus, but equally we get glimpses of this mod from the sounds, animations and the skins as well. Specifically, if you look at the skins, they are gorgeous. There's so much colour, so many unique patterns, and the detail is insane. The Geosternbergia is slated to be the next mod after the group's Argophalmus, which is another incredible mod that I cannot wait for, that I've left out of this list because I've already covered it quite a bit. This will be a PvP orientated flyer, with its kit heavily revolving around aerial dogfighting and setups to dispatch opponents from the air, with the creator comparing it to the Peregrine Falcon. And it looks like it will be moderately sized as well, with the creators doing a poll for the size of the mod, and the second biggest option, option 4, was the one that held out in the end. This, to me, might be one of my most hotly anticipated Pterosaur mods, and it definitely will be a fan favourite because I know a lot of people were very excited for it. Brachiosaurus is a mod that has been in testing for quite some time already and could actually drop on us anytime soon. This is the first mod being made by the Dinosaur team as part of their Morrison formation that will release into the game. However, it won't be their last because they're making other sauropods like Camarasaurus or Apatosaurus and carnivores like Torvosaurus as well. This group is gonna aim to complete the Morrison formation in one big swoop. But let's talk about the Brachiosaurus now, shall we? Because this large lumbering sauropod will be the team's largest dinosaur, and we get a glimpse of its size from this video of a Philoceldromius flying around it in-game, and it looks like it's going to rival that of the primordial tyrant's Argentinosaurus, which is massive. So this thing's going to be huge. We also have seen a lot of skins for this mod already, all shown in-game with various colour variations and patterns to choose from. Now, out of this mod group, this one appears to be one of the only ones without its own specific concept profile, so for now we don't actually know too much about this mod or what we could expect to see for it in game. But since it's now in testing, and well, some form of testing since January, perhaps we could see it soon. But to be fair to the Dinosauria folks, I'd love to do an early first look of this one, if you want me to, of course. Coming in at number 5 is a brand new massive theropod dinosaur that is coming to Path of Titans and is coming from Master Doot. This is Chilantisaurus, and this was announced with the mod's model. But if you don't know who Master Doot is, he is a modder that is renowned in Jurassic World Evolution 2's modding scene, making mods like Titan Long or Stomatosuchus and so much more to offer. And while so far we only know of the mod size and a model of it compared to a human in a render as well, we do get a good glimpse of what it could look like through the Jurassic World Evolution 2 mods. The mod in the game could open a Pandora's box, and as Master Doot has made lots of mods for other games, and this one is already in another game, we could possibly see more from this modder come to the game, and I think that sets a huge precedent of what could be to come, which is why I've put it onto this list. The giant early precursor to the Megaraptorians, Chilantisaurus is both unique but also could be a precedent setter of what we could see come to the game in the future from this author, and that to me is very exciting. This is a massive theropod, a very unknown theropod, and it makes a great addition to this list. However, have you wanted to play as a critter? Because technically you might be able to in the future because of this upcoming mod. This mod is being developed by Phaelon and adds the expansion of playable critters into the game. And this is also a mod they recently teased us. So far we know that the Platyhystrix will be playable, which kind of takes a good look back to the good old days of the playable Platyhystrix mod that was released by Jiggy back in the game's mod release phase, back almost 3 years ago now. The playable critter mod by Phaelon, or maybe just a playable Platyhystrix mod, was said to be showcased as a placeholder, as explained by Phaelon in the mod's original teaser. But regardless, I think we could all be excited about this one, and truthfully, it makes me wonder what else could come. If you were to add any playable critter to the game, however, that were out of the current roster of critters, what would you pick? For me, I would probably pick the snake, because it might be the closest we'd get for a little while before Titanoboa releases. And speaking of Titanoboa, I want to talk about a mod made by that group that isn't Titanoboa but is just as unique. In our last upcoming mods list, we mentioned the Divine Beast team with their Housecaraptor and their Titanoboa. However, the Housecaraptor was since released. But since I covered Titanoboa in the last one, what else could we expect? Well, the Beelzebufo will be one of them, a little far back in the list, sitting as a mod slated to come just before that of the Titanoboa and the Blue Whale. This is a giant frog. This frog will aim to be the destroyer of small dinosaurs, mainly that of the mod groups Compsognathus and their Housecaraptors themselves. However, this is the biggest frog that we know to have existed, and it will be coming to the game, and truthfully it's likely like if you were to see the Alpha Frog or be able to control the Alpha Frog within Path of Titans. However, I think this will be able to grab smaller creatures, and if it does, it's going to be absolutely insane. There's still a long way to come for this guy, but this will be coming before the snake. So that's why I've chosen this over Titanoboa. It's going to be unique, and it may be coming sooner, and it's a giant playable frog that might be able to lick things to death. Maybe not the last part, but regardless, it's a giant playable frog. It's definitely unique and should be something to be excited for. Now we move into the final 2 mods on this list, both of which are very close to a release stage. Firstly, we've got the Bristlewing, which is the second flyer on this list and the only dragon on this list. This is the Bristlewing coming from the Primordial Tyrants team as part of their Ignis group. This has been in and out of some form of development for a couple years now, with the developers of the mod working on this creature for quite some time, refining, tweaking and preparing it. It currently has less than 10 tasks left in its development, all of which are programming based, and we do actually know quite a bit about this mod already. Firstly, it will breathe fire. Whether that's going to be an attack or an emote or both, we're not too sure just yet. However, it will have 3 different species and a whole host of skins, a lot of which have been showcased to us so far, and there's still a lot that haven't been showcased just yet. We've got to see a lot of stuff recently for it, with teasers of the emotes, the locomotion, and a video showcasing it in game. It looks fluid in its movement, the flying looks crisp, and the ground movement is something to die for. You can tell that this has been crafted with a labour of love. The Primordial Tyrants team will finally add a 3rd Ignis mod to the Ignis roster, coming alongside the Noviana and the Ophis. However, this will likely be the new Halo mod for this group. I know a lot of people are excited this one. This is probably the biggest dragon release upcoming to Path of Titans. However, let's talk about another big release that's upcoming to Path of Titans. The Saurophaganax. Although now Allosaurus Anax is probably one of the closest mods in its development on this list, and is the only one on this list I have had the pleasure to playtest for you all. This will be a bleed monster, with abilities like the passives Berserker Madness, an ability that will increase your damage and shorten cooldowns when you are near a bleeding creature, or the 4 different attack options that you can choose from, further enhancing your bleed output. But then it goes further, and if you want to check out the mod showcase, I recommend you check it out in this glimpse, because it's a beautiful mod with a great model, great sounds, great movement, and I cannot wait for this one to come to the game. The model itself is gorgeous, the detail that they've put into here is good, the skins are really nice, and this will be a 4-slot version of Allosaurus with even more kit. If you wanted an Allosaurus TLC, this is pretty much what an Allosaurus TLC would be like in its ultimate form. Saurophaganax once again is being made by the Wrath of the Goliaths team, and this is the same mod team that are making the Iberospinus I covered earlier, or even the same team that released the Dimetrodon. I would say out of all of the mods I've spoke about today, this has to be the #1 mod for me. This is a great mod. It's probably very close in its release stage or its development. It might still be a little bit away. However, this one I've had the pleasure to playtest or even showcase to you all. It looks fantastic, and I cannot wait to see more of it and finally have it in the game for you all to play as. However, everybody, that is the list for upcoming mods for Path of Titans that you should be excited for. I'd love to know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Which is your favourite? Which one are you most excited for? And what's your top 10 upcoming mods list? I'd love to know. Other than that, everybody, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.